This teaching is a continuation from the teaching I did on a consuming fire, the scorched remnant. And if you haven't watched that video, I recommend watching that one first before watching this one. And in that video, we learned that Israel is not spared from the fire. Israel is preserved in it. 1 Kings 8 verses 51. For they be thy people, and thine inheritance, which thou broughtest forth out of Egypt from the midst of the furnace of iron. Not near the furnace, from the midst of it. Egypt was an iron furnace, intense affliction with iron chains and harsh labor. Yet Yah brought his people out. And before that deliverance, Moses saw a sign of what the covenant actually means. Exodus 3 verse 2. And the angel of Yah appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed. Even Moses was confused why the bush was not being burnt by the fire. Exodus 3 verse 3. And Moses said, I will now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush is not burnt. The bush not burning up was a representation of Israel not being completely burnt up in Egypt, the fiery furnace. And after Egypt, Yah showed himself again in a fire. Exodus 24 verse 17. And the sight of the glory of Yah was like a devouring fire on the top of the mount in the eyes of the children of Israel. Again, a consuming fire, yet the covenant people stood and lived. Yah is that consuming fire. Deuteronomy 4 verse 24. For Yah thy God is a consuming fire, even a jealous God. Now let's fast forward after exile, after judgment, fire appears again, but this time as a picture of Israel after being burned. Zechariah 3 verses 1 through 4. And he shewed me Joshua the high priest, standing before the angel of Yah, and Satan standing at his right hand to resist him. And Yah said unto Satan, Yah rebuke thee, O Satan, even Yah that hath chosen Jerusalem rebuke thee. Is not this a brand plucked out of the fire? Now Joshua was clothed with filthy garments, and stood before the angel. And he answered and spake unto those that stood before him, saying, Take away the filthy garments from him. And unto him he said, Behold, I have caused thine iniquity to pass from thee, and I will clothe thee with the change of raiment. Joshua is called a brand plucked out of the fire, and the word for brand in Hebrew is ood. Joshua is the ood. And the definition of the Hebrew word ood is a firebrand, a partially burnt piece of wood. And Yah says it while declaring, Yah that hath chosen Jerusalem. Joshua standing as the high priest is representing the people, accused, scorched, and unclean, yet chosen and cleansed and reclothed. Israel was in the midst of the iron furnace. The bush burned, but was not consumed. The mountain looked like devouring fire, and Joshua stood as the brand plucked out of the fire, representing Jerusalem, or the people. And we now are in exile, in the midst of the fiery furnace once again, being purged and burned and scorched, and having our idolatry burnt from off our hearts and minds, returning back to Yah only. Amos 4 verse 11. I have overthrown some of you, as Yah overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah, and ye were as a firebrand or an ood plucked out of the burning. Yet have ye not returned unto me, saith Yah. We are not consumed. But why? Lamentations 3 verses 22 through 23. It is of Yah's mercy that we are not consumed, because his compassions fail not. They are new every morning. Great is thy faithfulness. But Yah is about to return, and when he does, he will bring judgment. But this time not as water like the flood, but as fire. Isaiah 66, verses 15 through 16. For behold, Yah will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by his sword will Yah plead with all flesh, and the slain of Yah shall be many. Zephaniah 2, verses 1 through 3. Gather yourselves together, yea, gather together, O nation not desired. Before the decree bring forth, before the day pass as the chaff, before the fierce anger of Yah come upon you, before the day of Yah's anger come upon you. Seek ye Yah, all ye meek of the earth, which have wrought his judgment. Seek righteousness, seek meekness. It may be ye shall be hid in the day of Yah's anger.